Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're doing good. So sorry guys, I was not able to make videos from few months due to some personal reason. I was not getting the time at all. But I'm back now, and I'll try to make videos on different topics of ServiceNow, different modules. So you will be getting the videos from now. So let's get started without any delay. So today I thought of starting with workflow because a lot of people asked about workflow. So let's get started. So let me tell you what all topics I'm going to cover into this, video. So first of all, I'm going to let you know what is workflow. I'm going to explain about workflow properties, and most important thing is workflow core activities. So a lot of core activities, out of box define into the workflow, so we can make use of them while configuring the workflow. So I'm going to let you know like what all core activities we have and how we can use it in our workflow. What is the purpose of those core activities, why we use it. So we'll try to understand all those stuff. Along with that, we will be discussing about workflow functionalities, like why workflow is required, why we use it, where we use it, and how can we configure it. So let's get started. So first of all, let me tell about workflow. What is workflow? So workflow provides a drag and drop interface for automating multi-step processes across the platform. So workflow is something, we are having a lot of core activities defined. We can define, custom activities as well, and we can make, if we want, we can make use of out-of-box, core activities. And it is very simple interface. We can drag and drop the activities to configuring the multi-step processes across the platform. Each workflow consists of a sequence of activities. So while we configure the workflow, it is sequence of activities. We take few activities and we try to automate the process by using the sequence of activities. So what all kind of activities we are having, we are going to discuss into the deep, like seeing what all activities we have. But let me highlight few activities, like if we have to generate a records, we have already activities to generate a records. If we want to notify the user regarding any of the pending approval or any of the pending request, so we have kind of that activities. Always we can make use of that. And we, if you have to define any of the custom script where you want to automate something and you want to define process dynamically, so you can make use of running script, and you can define your script into the run script workflow activity. And most important part is the graphical workflow editor represent the workflow visually as a type of flow chart. So we are going to see like demo of like how core activities looks, how we create workflow. So all those stuff we are going to see in our further this video. Before that, let me highlight like workflow stage value. So we are having few stages defined for the workflow, like waiting for approval, fulfillment, delivery, cancelled, completed. So this we are going to see like once we are creating any use case for the workflow. So we will be seeing all the stages. So let's navigate to the personal instance and try to understand what how we configure workflow, where we configure workflow, what all core activities looks like. So let's come here. So where you have to configure the workflow, for that you have to search for workflow editor here, and under the workflow option you have to go to the workflow editor. So once you click on workflow editor, you will be redirected to this workflow ID table. Okay. So this is where you can create a new workflow, and you can see the list of workflow which is already created. So we have published and checkout workflow. So what is the published and checkout workflow? Let me give you overview about it, because this is also kind of important. So once we try to make any changes into the existing workflow, like if I want to have add something into this workflow, first of all I need to check out this workflow. Until and unless we check out the workflow, we won't be able to make any changes into that. Okay, so first it is in published state. So for making any changes, first of all we have to go and check out the workflow, and then we can start making change into it. So once we are completed, we have implemented like whatever is required change, then what we have to do is, so I am checking out here. Without checking out, you won't be able to make any changes, remember that. So now if I want to add something here, remove something here, like I can do that. I have option like I checked out the workflow, and if I want to make any changes into any of the activities, I can do that. If I want, I can add new activities as well. So the modification we can do it, and after that we have to publish this workflow to to make it available for the use. So if I am done with the changes, I have to publish this workflow. Then this workflow will be available for everyone to use it. Okay, so I'm publishing this workflow. So this workflow will be available for everyone to, they can also, if check out if they want to make any changes, and this changes will be reflecting into the workflow and will be like applying to the uh, associated catalog item or change request. Okay, so I hope this checkout and publish is clear, and it is very important to the beginner. Okay, so now how can we create a new workflow? So for creating a new workflow, we have to click on new workflow, and this is the properties what we call. So here we have to give the name of this workflow, and we have to select the table and like description why we are creating this workflow. So this basic information we have to define here. So I'm just giving test, and here I'm selecting our item, table name, requested item. So I am selecting this table, and here description you can have like for what purpose you are creating, and here you can define stages like stage rendering, workflow driven, or requested item driven. So you can select according to your requirement. So mainly by default workflow driven we select it, and so you can just keep it like this, and stage order also should be like computed. And if you want to make it user specified, so you can do that, but in by default we don't make any changes here. So we can submit it now. Okay, so we have like created this workflow called test. So once we created, this begin and end activity will be automatically created, and both are connected to each other. So here if you go, if you want to make any changes into the property of this workflow, you have to go here, and you can make the changes into the property of this workflow. Okay, so you can do the lot of changes from here, like you can change the name, you can change the table name, description, and you are having other stuff as well, like activities. You can set the maximum activity count and activity pinning. You can see the application here, and you can change the accessible from, like whether this workflow will be accessible from this scope only or all the application scope. So you can do that thing from here. Here you can define the catalog variables like workflow SC variables. So if you want, you can add here catalog variables, because we are configuring this workflow on requested item. You can have a schedule here, if requires. So this workflow will be running according to that schedule. So you have like delivery based on user specified duration or relative duration. You can select the schedule here. You can configure the schedule and you can select it from here. Here you are having time zone. Here you are having expected time. So you can do this, a lot of changes from the workflow properties. Here you have, stages which was available when we are configuring this workflow, but this is kind of default. So we are having like this stages by default. So you can see here like a request approved, waiting for approval, like a lot of, kind of default stages. And here you are having estimated runtime. So all those things you can do it from the workflow properties, and you are having other options as well, like you can open existing one, you can copy this workflow, you can publish, you can delete this workflow from here, you can edit the stages, edit the catalog variables, you can set inactive this workflow, you can expand the transition, and like you can validate this workflow if you want. And if you want to see the context of this workflow, you can see it from here. And this is for workflow canvas help, and properties we have already discussed about it. So now let's come here to core and let's discuss about core activities.